Hello?
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 Test 1, 2, 3, 4.
Testes.
Toast. Testicles.
And the microphone is on. It's everybody thinks it's at the top, but it's actually in the front right here. So when you talk,
Okay, dilly dilly.
like, you don't have to get like right here.
Like a good neighbor,
But-
bread sticker is there.
But about this, and you're good. So,
All right.
episode 9. I think I'm on episode 9. I've done this will be the 9th one. Episode
Nice.
9. Episode 9. Everybody, please welcome a good friend of mine, a man I've known for probably 4, 5, 6 years now.
A long ass time.
I said this about one of my previous guests, but you too, one of the most interesting fellas I know and have met. Cheers.
Thank you.
Welcome, Brian
Appreciate
Shazari.
Thank you.
Shazari. I used to say Shazari.
Shhhh, but Brian works. Nobody really knows how to say my name. I mean, I can't even say it half the time either. So, just Brian.
So Shazari.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just call him Brian.
Yeah.
Brian is on the show today. Thank you for coming in,
Dilly
my
dilly.
man.
That's good.
Cheers, and that is a good beer. Good old Shiner Bock, everybody. And also, before we do get started, I want to shout out, of course, I'm wearing my Sight and See hat. My good buddy Bronson and his wife run this company right outside of San Antonio. Awesome people, awesome headwear, so go get you some. We're going to order Brian some, maybe live
That's
on the
gonna happen.
podcast tonight.
Hell yeah, it's going to happen.
So, yes, yeah, go check them out. Sight NC, Sight NINCSEA. They have awesome headwear, so just want to give them that plug. But Brian Shazari, you are now. I know your dad, and your dad is not from here. He is from.
My dad is from Iran, so
That's
I
right,
have
that's right.
the most interesting family you'll ever meet. So during the Olympics, we have to go for
And
Canada.
I do just want to say that, like, your dad is hilarious. I love.
Oh,
your
he
dad.
is.
He is.
I mean, he's been here for 50 years. He still can't speak English
His
very
accent
well.
kills me every time. He's like, "Oh,
Sorry if
what's
you're
up?
watching.
Mr. Charles. I love you, man.
love you.
But he's straight up. Oh, what's up, man? You gonna help me with the insurance?
You tell me with the insurance.
You do it better.
Hello, Brett. Please help me with insurance. I want to save most money. Thank you very much. I'm like, Dad, you've been here since 1977. At least adapt some Southeast Texas
Yes.
slang into your language.
Every time I see him though, he's like the coolest dude. He'll invite me in. We'll talk about motorcycles because he used to
Yeah.
have a big old Harley. And then at the end of every one of our meetings, or just getting together, he'll go, "Man, what is Brian doing, man? You need to get a hold of him." Every time.
Well, it's like, when I was single, it was like, every girl my dad would meet. Oh, hello, you meet my son. His name is Brian. You need to meet him, marry him. Okay, I pay for the wedding. Great. I'm like, Dad, no, let's move on to something
Slow
else.
down.
It's a beautiful day outside. So.
But anyway, sorry I just had to bring up how awesome
No,
your
you're
dad
good.
is. So your family is kind of multicultural, big
Yeah,
time.
so during the Olympics, it sucks because my mother is from Beaumont, but her family was from the UK, and they kind of intermix into Wales and Ireland and Germany and kind of all that stuff. So sort of Western European. My dad's from Iran, so during the Olympics, we have to go over Canada, the UK, the US. I remember one year my mom said, Brian, does Texas have a team? Because I don't see him on the score list. I'm like, no,
Well, for the Olympics,
they're part of the U.S. So it's like, so that's kind of where I sit. Like, it's multicultural. I play the bagpipes. I'm very much in touch with my Middle Eastern roots. And, also my British roots as well.
Are the bagpipes a Middle Eastern? I'm going to sound super ignorant, but is that a Middle Eastern?
It's not here at all. They originally were attributed to that area of the world. So they are sort of attributed to the area.
Okay.
So,
Because, come to think of it, I always think of dudes in kilts from, like, Scotland. But
or drunk at the bar.
well, if you're lucky enough to know Brian,
Sorry. If you're watching this, I apologize. But I will play her wedding.
yeah. So your family is kind of from all.
Yeah, it's from all
different,
mixes.
yeah.
We're very much deeply involved in our religious roots and all that, and the Catholic faith and everything. And so we really stretch a really wide multicultural view across the whole spectrum as far as religion, politics, everything goes. So I have a really good, unique perspective on kind of how life is, so to speak, as a young person, at least for my generation, at least as a first-generation American. So, or at least first-generation Southeast Texan, depending on how you see it. So
Yeah. Was your mom from this area?
My mom's just from Port Neches.
Port Neches.
The great metropolis of Port Neches, Texas. Mama, if you're watching, that's the greatest city on the planet. But, Mom grew up there from a multicultural family. Her mother, my grandmother, was of British origin. So, I've kind of got that really good mix kind of in between. So
yeah. Very cool. And you did you go to Lamar?
I did. I went to Lamar University, graduated in 2000 from Cathedral High School here in Beaumont.
Cathedral High School,
straight
dude.
into Lamar.
I went to, my parents made me go to Cathedral for 1 year.
What years?
6th grade, I went to Cathedral. I think my brother went during middle school, but I went and I used to, of course, I'm sure any kid that ever went to school did this. I would ask to go to the bathroom and I'd go walk around the campus for like an hour and a half.
That's where I know him from.
Every day. But I begged my parents, like, after the first year, like, please. It was kind of like a trial. Like, they wanted to see how I would do because I wasn't a bad kid, but they were just like, we want to try private school. And
yeah, it's I mean, of course, this was...
Not that I'm, like, shitting on private school.
No, absolutely not.
I just... It was like all my friends were in public and I was in private, and I was like, please get me out of here.
See, that's the thing is, this was over 90 years ago whenever I was in high school. So, but actually, I'm going on a 20-year
The roaring 20, or how long is 90? The 30s? Oh, man.
Yeah, something like that. But, yeah, I'm on my 20-year reunion this year, and it's like, the way we put it is you take what you get out of it, and for some people, private school wasn't everything, and I totally get that. So I totally respect that. Me, I was just kind of neutral. I had my bagpipe hobbies, my weird hobbies that I still do to this day.
How long have you been playing bagpipes?
I started in 1992.
Oh, wow. Because you're actually, like, legitimately really good at bagpipes.
I like to think so. The more you drink, the better I sound.
Oh, well, that's any musical instrument. The funnier people get, the better the musicians sound. Like, that's everybody.
Yeah. So, but cool. I've been playing since 1992. I learned in a band here in Beaumont. I'm still with them to this day, and everybody in the band is still my closest friends. That's cool. When I went into the Coast Guard in 2002, I immediately gained a collateral duty into the U.S. Coast Guard pipe band, which at that point was maybe 4 months old. Okay. And to this day, I'm still a member of the U.S. Coast Guard pipe band, which, I'm still in the Coast Guard. So, but yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so you are, I know there's all different kind of terms, like there's active members, there's reserves.
Yep.
You are...
So I was active for 14 and a half years.
Okay.
And about 5 years ago, I went reserve.
So what is the difference between anybody in the military that is active and reserve? What is that difference?
Active, they're like, okay, you're going to move here, and good luck. God be with you.
Okay.
Bye.
So they have a little more control, I guess.
Exactly, yeah. And I did that for so long, and I was at sea for a long time, and trying to raise a family, trying to live your life ashore, so to speak, was kind of difficult for me because, you know me out of everybody. I like being social. I'm very much involved in social activities.
Everybody knows you, yeah.
Yeah, and to me, going to sea for 9 months a year, I was just like, oh, God, I'm going to miss out on everything. So reserve is I go in once a month. I do them a couple of days. I usually go in on weekdays, and I do my duty. I integrate in with the active duty crew, and I help them. I train them because of my previous active duty background, and I do that. And I've been in total combined reserve and active. I've been in for about 19 years now. So,
wow.
And I plan on going for at least 35.
That's awesome.
So,
well, again, cheers. Thank you for your service to our.
It's just a job.
But hey, I respect it. I appreciate it. And so, when you say you go out to sea, like you're out on a boat, like in the middle of the ocean.
When I was active duty, yeah, you were on a cutter, which is what we call one of our kind of bigger class ships, and you'd be out for months at a time. And,
no kidding. What's that like?
You establish your routine. That's your first thing.
Okay. The closest I can think of to that experience is I've been on a cruise before.
Okay,
so you're on a cruise ship for a week. I mean,
it's like being on a cruise minus the alcohol and the free food.
All the fun stuff.
I mean, we do have free food, but you're getting charged for it, and it's not fresh, and it sucks.
Gotcha.
And you can't drink. So to substitute, you usually just eat and go out on the back deck and look at your friend Jimmy and say, oh, wow, you look different today. Did you comb your hair different? Okay, I'm going to go to bed.
Oh man.
And then repeat that for a couple of months.
Yeah. Well, so what did you primarily do when you were out on boats? Did you have like a certain
Yeah,
job
I was part of the command structure where I supported the analysts on board. I would help, kind of guide the ship as far as, what kind of missions we were doing. If we had specific requests, I would support those requests, kind of more like in the intelligence realm. If the commanding officer had a specific duty he had to do, or if he had a specific mission, I would help fulfill some of those gaps that he had. So some of the questions. So, you as an individual in business, if you had a question about business intelligence, hey, what do I do to improve this product? I would come in and say, okay, this is what you've got to do. These are the steps you have to follow.
Almost like a consultant kind of.
Yeah, it's like like a milestone action plan for you. So, and that's what I do in the civilian world too, with regards to the maritime industry.
Cool.
So as a full-time civilian now.
Yeah.
So
what's the longest you've ever been out consecutively at sea? Like,
yeah.
What's the longest?
For those of you that are watching that have deployed with me, I think it was probably 3 months at a time.
Okay.
Maybe about 2 months, about 2 or 3 months.
Just
so
enough to kind of make you go, okay, let's go home now.
It's like no fresh food, and you're just like, oh my god, it's the same people every day. And you wake up, you're like, hi Jimmy, hey, Brian, hi. I'm gonna get an apple from the galley and go on the back deck and eat it. Okay, I'll be there.
Okay. God, man, sounds rough.
For those of you that are deployed, you know what it's like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I guess it's like anybody that serves in any form or capacity of the military. It's like they get it, whatever.
Most people think deployments are insane, just balls to the wall fun, but I'd say in my experience, I don't know, I can't speak for combat veterans, but on a ship, 99.8% of the time is incredibly boring.
Yeah. My cousin, who is he's a Marine right now. He's living out in Camp Pendleton in San Diego right now. He got sent over to Dubai the beginning of this year. I think he left in February and he got back April-ish, maybe end of April. He was gone for like 2 months, and he was able to use his phone sparingly when he was over there, when he had service or when he wasn't working. And so I'd ask him like, is it, you can see some cool stuff? What's it like? He's like, man, we got to Dubai and it was pretty neat. But then we drove for 4 hours through the desert, and he said, all I've seen are like scorpions and camels. So it was from incredibly boring, but you're similar.
Again, I've been in since exactly 1 week after 9/11, and I can't relate to the combat vets who have done, been there and done their stuff in Iraq and Afghanistan. But being on a ship, it's like, for me, I fought the war from, the Pacific, and it was just like, it's the same kind of concept. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm going to look at the same color of white bulkhead every day for the next couple of months in my bunk. And I'm waking up next to the guy above me who snores every night, and I can't get any sleep, and I hate this. And they're doing gunnery exercises in the middle of the day when I'm trying to sleep. Everybody has their own story.
It's kind of monotonous.
Yeah. But
I think
a lot of
like the
deployments
combat veterans, that's like a whole different level. I mean,
it is. They really
engaging,
are. They truly are.
That I can't even begin to imagine. But
yeah. Absolutely.
Very cool. So you're helping the Coast Guard as a reserve a couple times a month, and
So I'm still doing my duty, and I'm transferring to New Orleans this year for my reserve unit. I'm not moving from Beaumont, so
I was about
to
say, are you going to drop that bombshell on me as
we're
recording?
Like, I am not moving.
I was going to get really sad. We're going to cut this episode short. Brian, what the hell? Okay, so
somebody else asked me on a podcast, Brian, are you moving from Beaumont? Would you ever move from Beaumont? The answer is no. I love where I live. I love where I'm from, and I think from everybody is that I struggle with the commute every now and then because I work out of Houston, but I know everybody here. This is my comfort zone. It's where my family is, and it's where my friends are. I can come over to your house or any of my other buddies' house and just kind of hang out.
Well, I was born and raised in Beaumont, and I went away for college for a few years to Dallas, lived there, worked a little bit after, and ended up coming back because I was kind of family homesick. I missed my family a lot, and I was young and didn't have a career yet, so I was able to move back. And you get some people that and it kind of gets on my nerves, when they're on Facebook and they say, like, there's a reason I got out of there, and I'm just like, good for you. Like,
you think that, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not the greatest place, but it also doesn't suck.
It doesn't suck.
And it's full of some really great people.
So kind of aligning with what you're saying, I transferred to Hawaii in 2010. I went to Pearl Harbor, and I was there for about 2.5 years, and about the first 6 months, I'm like, oh great, this is awesome. I'm out of Beaumont. It's wonderful. But then after 6 months, I started missing Beaumont. And I lived in downtown Waikiki, which was in the center of everything. And you think, oh my God, that's wonderful. I'd love to live in Waikiki.
Yeah,
but you're on an island. It's constant tourists. It's like monotonous military work. You think you hate Beaumont, but when you leave here, it's the people that make a difference. You know, I can walk into any restaurant or pub here in Beaumont or any bar, and I can know at least 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about Beaumont. It's not too big and it's not too small. And that's why I chose to go in the reserves for actually 5 years ago now, is because I wanted to move home. I wanted to be active in my community. I wanted to be involved. I wanted to make a difference. And I wanted to show people that if you leave, it sucks. And people are starting to see that now. Okay, Brian, you were right. You know, I left. I went to Houston. You know, granted, that's not 3,000 miles away like I was. Yeah. But it sucks. You know, like I thought about moving to Houston. You know, I have a job that's based out of Houston. I'm not going to move, and I already explained that to him. Yeah. This is my home. This is my family. This is my friends. You know, I can come over here. You can come to my house, and you've done that. And you don't find that anywhere, and that's why I chose to root here in Beaumont.
I agree. What really kind of showed me just how great of people we have, and I mean we're like any city. There's crappy people anywhere.
But it's anywhere.
When I went to work in insurance, and through insurance, I've met so many people like in the community, just helping them out with their insurance. Mm-hmm. And I've made friends out of insurance, like people I would have never met ever, and like now, they're my clients of mine, but now I consider them as like friends.
Absolutely.
And so it's like, you're right. It really is the people that kind of make I mean, is Beaumont the perfect place? I mean, no, what place is?
But, I mean, what perfect place is there? Everybody said, oh, you're going to Hawaii. You're never going to leave.
That's like you think of that like paradise.
After a week, I was like, I'm ready to get the hell out of this place. I mean, it sucks. I mean, it's not that great of a place. And, I mean, it's wonderful to visit, but to
the
live
beaches
there.
Are beautiful, yeah. And
I lived on the beach. I literally lived a block from the beach, but you have to pay for that stuff. But, it's like you said, the people aren't the same. The people you meet are different.
Right.
And people in Beaumont, I found out, and I mean, this is even beating the Houston area, they're a lot more friendly. They're a lot more opening. It's like this whole situation going on around the entire nation. There's so much strife in the country. But if you come here, it's like that doesn't even really exist here. Yeah. And even economic downturns, we found out during the COVID-19 situation, I thought I was going to lose my job. I'm sure everybody did. But it was like, this area just prevailed, and we didn't blink an eye.
A lot of people trying to support local.
Exactly. And it was like supporting local. We support each other. There's no race. There's no colors. None of that. And I don't want to get into politics at all. But, there's none of that stuff here, at least from our viewpoints. And I've never experienced that. And it's just that's part of the reason why I chose to move back home.
Right on. Oh, excuse me. Well, I wholeheartedly agree with you. It's not perfect, but I enjoy living here. It gets a little too hot, and I get swamp ass almost every single day. But
shit today. I went outside for 30 minutes today. I was like, nope, I'm done. Bye.
You go out to check your mail. You come back in. You're like, oh, guess I'll take another shower.
Lord Jesus, no. Fix it, Jesus.
So getting off the Coast Guard bit. Now I know you work in cybersecurity.
I do, yeah. I work for a major maritime organization. We are probably one of the and I'm kind of objectively speaking, we're kind of the most proactive organizations in the maritime field as far as securing ships and port facilities in the nation, and actually throughout the world. So
and just every now and then
how we doing on time?
Oh, it doesn't even keep time. I just make sure I look back to make sure it didn't like cut off or anything. Because how much would that suck?
I got you.
We're sitting there talking for 40 minutes, and I turn around and it's not recording. Like
I'm watching.
So. Maybe I should start having guests sit on this side so I can watch the computer.
It's actually, I'm actually been keeping an eye on it.
Yeah. So cybersecurity is something that is kind of intriguing to me because obviously technology is such a big part of our life now. Like, I got my first cell phone when I turned 18. The day I graduated high school, I turned 18. My parents got me like the silver Nokia brick cell phone. Yeah, that's it. And it had no caller ID. It had no texting. It literally.
Hello. Let me call you back.
That's about how big it was. And
then we went to like this size.
Yeah, tiny. But if I would miss a call, I would just be like, shit. Like, who called me? Because I had no caller ID. It would just say, missed call, unknown caller. And it was $10 a month. And then...
Sorry.
And then flash forward to now, and we've got, like, their pocket computers. I mean, you can literally.
Hang on, let me check my stocks. I'm doing golden.
Everything. I got him snorting.
You got the dog going.
Snort laughers are my favorite.
Dude, we have evolved. So when I went,
insane,
it's funny you say
technology.
this. In college at Lamar University, I started in 2000. This was 70,000 years ago whenever Noah built his ark. And it was just like, Lord Jesus,
70?
I had this Nokia phone. Like, I would have to pack into my backpack. I was just like,
what's in there?
Yeah.
A cell phone?
Oh, I just got to carry my cell phone in case any chicks call me. This is pre-Tinder and pre-Hinge, by the way.
Yeah,
so,
none of that.
Like, you had to actually talk
You
to
had to
chicks.
actually go up to chick and be like, I was thinking maybe if you're not, I mean, it's no big deal if you are, but like if you're not.
I want to go to the coffee shop with you.
You want to go to the Setzer Center with me? Yeah, so and nowadays like any freaking Johnny Lunch Bucket with an iPhone can just go like match sup,
and 99% of the chicks don't even respond to you. So like, I don't even know what
or
the
they're
point
spam
is.
or
Yeah,
like,
it's spam. It's like, hello, my name is Ivanka. I would like to meet a good man, American. High five.
And look, I'm not above it. When I was single, I had it for a little bit, so I know like it's
These
just,
are things.
It's a shit show. Yeah,
It's a
it's
shit
crazy.
show.
But
anyway, cyber.
draw you back in.
All right, so
technology, like it's just so ingrained in our
it
everyday
is,
life.
and nobody thinks about this shit. So I'll just give you an example. I was in Lowe's last week, and Lowe's is one of my like the freaking sponsors of my house, but.
Which your house looks awesome, by the way. I know
Thank
you've
you.
been
You
working.
can come drink at it, by the way. It's awesome.
I've
Everybody
seen-
out there, if you're watching, just come over.
Party at Brian's. I'll
Dude, I will totally host you guys.
in the description. I'll dox his address for him. No, I'm kidding.
I'm okay with that. I don't even know how to be able to show up to my parties anyway. But anyway, so the lady checking me out was like, "Okay, what's your PIN number to your debit card? I'm not giving you that. Like, let
That's
me
a
see
little-
the thing." Well, see, I'm saying is like people don't attribute cybersecurity to the COVID crisis because people are getting complacent because they're like, okay, well, I'm going to leave my cybersecurity in the hands of the government and the employees of private businesses, assuming they're treating my stuff with confidentiality. But I had this lady at Lowe's I shouldn't say the business name, but at this
Joe's.
store.
Was it at
Joe's?
It was Joe's.
And she was like, "Can I have your PIN number for your card so I can?" I was like, "No, you can't really."
That's kind of I don't even know that I would feel comfortable.
And she was like, "Well, you can't enter on the PIN pad because we have it sanitized, and you can't." I was like, "Oh, okay. I'm just gonna pay cash." So I ended up paying cash for it, but still, it's like people don't think about cybersecurity in their daily lives. So people put stuff up on Facebook. Hey, these are my favorite football players, or they're gonna go to the store to Joe's and they're going to say, okay, well, here's my credit card, do whatever you want to with it. Or they're going to put their personal identifying information, such as your, birthday on Facebook. And people think that birthday is not a big deal if you put it on social media and make it public. That's actually a big deal because if hackers were to find that, they can find your bank account, they can attribute it to a birthday, and for probably less than $20 a month, they can sign up for some program online where they can look your information up, and all you gotta do is just match your birthday to it. So, for me,
this thing always cuts off after 25 minutes. So we're at the 25-minute mark. Okay, so they can pay for an online service.
You can pay for an online service that'll look your information up. You just gotta have a birthday to attribute it to the name, and that's it. Now, I can look your name up. Like if I were to look my own name up, Brian Shhhh, and I would say, hey, I want to find out his personal information. All I got to do is look up, go to some website that I can pay $25 a month to, type in my name, Brian Shhhh, and I can look up my own address, my birthday, and that's all I need right there. So think about how many times you call into a tech support and they ask for your address and your birthday.
I hate that.
Exactly. So just think about that stuff. Think about how much you put out. Think about what you put out on open internet, because a lot of that stuff is publicly available. And we don't think about this stuff until it's too late. So,
well, and it's
I'm a victim of it myself.
Really?
Oh, God, yeah.
Somebody,
all the time, yeah. So a couple of years ago, I had somebody steal my birthday, my address, because I had it all on the open internet.
What did they do with it?
They ended up trying to open up a bank, they tried to open up a credit card with it. So they had my birth date, and they were able to research my address, and as a result, the credit card company gave them my social security number, and this was 5 years ago.
They gave them your social?
Last 4, they kind of verified everything.
Okay.
So, I mean, they didn't give it to them, but they verified everything because they looked me up.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, my footprint's a little too big. So that's when I started scaling stuff down and erasing my digital footprint. So for those of you who are listening, if you have a digital footprint, the first step, Google yourself. And that sounds stupid, but unless you're in business like we are, you shouldn't have a huge digital footprint out there. Okay. You shouldn't have your birth date scheduled or, published on your social media unless it's, shareable to your friends and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. That's insane.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that and I don't want to say like, I'm going to sound like one of those paranoid, but it's not really paranoia. A, I just probably would never use it, but B, I've heard all about those home assistants like Alexa, Google Home, and there's been some reports that like they're always listening to you.
I'm guilty as shit about that.
so is that like a legit thing? Like they're always listening?
It's possible. So a lot of people ask me that question, Brian, if I have an Alexa in my home, is that okay? Yes and no. If you have a strong Wi-Fi password on your Wi-Fi at home, obviously you're good. So think of it like your email. Think of your Wi-Fi password as, okay, if I set a weak password, anybody can get in. If I set a weak password on my home Wi-Fi, anybody can get in. And there's ways to do it. And if I were to talk about this stuff to you guys, you'd probably fall asleep within 10 minutes.
Sure.
There's ways of hacking simple passwords on your Wi-Fi. So
if somebody hacks my Wi-Fi, what can they do?
They can look at your Wi-Fi devices. They can look at if you have a Nest. And I'm speaking from experience because I do. I have a Nest. I have a couple of Alexas, and I have a Google little home, speaker thing.
Google Pod or whatever they're
Google
called.
Home in my kitchen. But I have a VPN. I have a virtual private network.
Yeah, that kind of ghosts your stuff.
Yeah, and what that does is it scrambles my IP address so nobody can hack my password, so to speak. And they can't find out where I'm really coming from.
Yeah.
So if you do that stuff, it's a good idea. I don't recommend that, you spend exorbitant amounts of money on VPNs unless you work from home like I do. But the best first step, 90% of the issue, is creating a strong Wi-Fi password for your home Wi-Fi.
And do you think, because really, I mean, nobody ever really talks about it or is like concerned with it, Like, do you think that's kind of the next step in
Absolutely.
Maybe not just like hackers stealing your personal stuff, but like I've heard about like warfare with other countries. Like
we're seeing in maritime a massive increase in email spoofing and the dog snoring.
Yeah, if you can hear him, sorry. Email spoofing, is that like when you get the email from the guy from like the Nigerian prince that says, I've inherited $4 million and I would like to give it away to you?
Exactly. So for example, if you were to hire Brett Sticker for something and it said this is from Brett Sticker, but it was spelled BRET STICKER.
The only way to spell Brett is with 2 T's. If you
versus 2, yeah.
If you spell it with 1 T, you're a communist. So
exactly. That's called link manipulation, and that's actually a way that we do stuff. That's how we do penetration testing, giggity. But that's how we. All right. But that's how we do penetration testing. Is we'll try to spoofy. I'm sorry. I turned legitimate.
We do penetration testing a whole different way. I don't know if I can put this on the air. This I'm gonna flag this as unsuitable for children. So tell me more about your penetration. Sorry.
We're gonna all right, resume.
So tell me more about the penetration.
So, all right, resume. So, pen testing is when we basically.
Sorry.
Oh, it's all right. So, it's when we spoof an email address. So, if I were to say, "Hey, I'm Brett Sticker," I would spell it BRETSTICKER, whereas you spell BRETT, two T's. So a lot of people, you're familiar with the Nigerian print scheme. That's when somebody sends you an email and says, "Hey, my name is so and so. I need this amount of money to bail me out of jail." Blah blah blah. But people are starting to get more smarter now. They're starting to what we call phishing, spear phishing, where they will research an individual. So, take for example me, and I'm not throwing this out there as a practical example, but they'll say, "Okay, I want to target Brian Shhhh's email address, and I want to target his contacts and find out what he's doing, in his job in cybersecurity. So I want to maybe see who's communicating with him, and I'll go on Facebook, I'll go on LinkedIn, or whatever these other social media outlets are. Go to Google, research my name, see who I talk to individually, personally, and they'll say, okay, well, Brian talks to, John Smith. So I'm going to spoof John Smith's email address, and I'm going to say, hey, this is John. Please send me an invoice for this, or please send me a response for this. And it'll look legitimate. It'll seem legitimate because these guys are doing legitimate research on us.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, well,
God,
it's not
that's
never going to happen to me.
That's so scary, man.
It really is. It's not a matter of if,
They're like
but
professional
when.
stalkers almost.
It is, and
yeah.
it's happened to me numerous times. And, it's like this was even before I was even in the cybersecurity business. This was 6 years ago. People were doing this to me.
Jeez.
And I'm like, I'm just Brian Shhhh, private citizen. Why would you want to target me? So,
yeah, if you hack my computer, you're just going to find pictures of motorcycles and video games.
With me, it's memes. I am a meme lord.
Oh, you are. You send me, and some of your pictures are like the greatest meme material. Like, I'll take some of your pictures of your like reenactments, and I'm like, oh, this is meme gold right here.
I love memes. If you haven't followed me on social media, Facebook, go to Brian's Meme Emporium and Banter Gallery. You will find me on there.
Yeah, let's blast that. You are an incredible memer. What about like those those IRS scammers who call people?
I usually reverse engineer them.
That's what we do. We'll see it calling through. And Blake, Blake, my brother, he's incredible with voices, like doing impersonations.
Very much.
Dude, and he'll do like all different. He'll do Australian, he'll do Indian, he'll do he does all these different like he'll do hillbilly and fuck with these people.
If you're watching, do not subscribe to that shit because people call you from these numbers out of southern India and they're not legit.
And they'll say, my name is John Smith. And I'm like, no, it's not.
Hello, my name is Charles Classic. Please give me your information. I'm like, okay,
and,
bro.
Yeah, and they'll tell you that like I've had them tell us that like we owe several $1,000s, and if they don't, they're gonna send the police after us.
That's the best part, dude. That's the best part.
And I'm just
I love
like,
that.
what are you talking about, man? Like, do you think people legitimately fall for that?
Sadly, yes. There
Really?
are so many people that call me on a daily basis and ask me, Brian, should I have given my credit card number to this dude out of Bangladesh or Sri Lanka? And I'm like, it's
So
like
they really do fall for it.
there's a lot of people, and there's actually a lot of companies that have fallen for it because there's a lot of private owners that aren't as big as like the corporations I work for, like you work for.
I didn't think of that. Yeah.
That are like, oh shit, I'm in trouble because what are the two guaranteed things in life? Death and taxes, right? Mm-hmm. So when people hear taxes, especially over the phone, they're like, oh shit, I gotta act now. I got to give them my social. I got to do this. I got to do that.
Yeah. My dog's scratching. Sorry.
And no, you're good. And so it's like the first thing we'll do is just give them all the info and make it comfortable and make it go away.
Make it go away.
And that's why these guys harp on that, and that's why they've taken this and they've expounded on it because they know we're weak in that area.
You think they just target the U.S.?
They target everywhere. They target the UK. I've heard of cases out of Germany, Bahrain, Africa,
Kind of doing the same thing, telling them they owe
South
taxes.
Africa. It's big in South Africa too. It's big in the UK.
Jeez.
This is a global. You know, people think COVID-19 is a huge global pandemic. Yes, it is. But when you think about cybersecurity, this is one of the top, in my personal professional opinion, top 5 worst things.
Do those guys ever get caught? I mean, how would they get in trouble?
They do. I mean, there's some legal ramifications, and
because they're in a different country, but
most often not, they never get caught.
Yeah.
They just skate by. You know, you'll never know their real name, like you said.
Where they are.
Hi, my name's Charlie Smith with the IRS, and they don't give a badge number or nothing. You know, the only time I've ever interacted with the IRS is when they owe me money, and they always, first of all, when you're on the phone with them, it's a 2-hour wait.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And they owe me money. So it's like one of the two. So there's never this instant call from them. So, yeah.
Yeah. Crazy, man. Yeah.
But if I could give a message to anybody, it's just watch what you put online. Don't put your personal shit out there. Don't put your birthday. Don't put stuff personally. It's what we call in the government sector personally identifying information. So.
Yeah. The less you put, the better.
Dilly.
I'm pretty judicial with what I share online. Typically, it's work stuff or
I know I can't even tag you.
this dumbassery of podcasting. That's about the extent of it. Because it's not that like, you know, I don't want to share stuff, but I'm kind of afraid like people are gonna find stuff out about me, and
I don't even share any. I mean, you probably saw recently I've taken a break from social media. I just post the history factoid of the day or just kind of stuff I'm doing at home or if I'm at the golf course. That's it.
Speaking of, what is your favorite historical event?
My favorite historical event ever in the history of the entire. Wow, that's a good question.
Because I know you love history. You're a history buff.
If you
had to pick one historical event that you love to read about,
man, World War II.
That's your favorite.
I'll say that because World War I shaped the world somewhat, but we kind of went into the Western powers went into sort of a kind of what's the phrase I'm looking for? Kind of a very familiar way of doing stuff with regards to tyranny and stuff.
Yeah.
But when World War II came around, we were very caught off guard. We didn't listen, as an analyst for the government, we didn't listen to analysis. We didn't listen to intelligence reports. We didn't listen to threat analysis.
Yeah.
And so me personally, that's a big thing because that's what I do. And so World War II is a lot of lessons learned that we still use today in the military. We still use a lot of the battle tactics, a lot of the intelligence tactics that were learned during the war, we still use to this day in our teachings. And, I have friends in the German military, and they're probably listening right now. And, we always bounce these ideas off of each other. And it's so great that I can come together with these guys and say, hey, during the war, when we were at war with each other, this is what we learned from, our side. What do you think? And I think having that generational connection with some of my German military friends that are still serving in the Bundeswehr, which is the German military, we can bounce ideas off each other and say, hey, this is how we can prevent this stuff from happening again. This is how we can prevent our Holocaust. This is how we can prevent another tyrannical regime from raising again, stuff like that. So if anybody were to ever ask me what my favorite historical event was in history, it'd be World War II. And it's simply because from the learning aspect, from how we can learn from each other.
Yeah.
So
and ties in, your area of expertise.
Absolutely, yeah. So
dig it. Very cool. Well, Brian Shhhh.
Dilly.
Appreciate it. Cheers. Brian's Meme Emporium. Look it up on Facebook. Are you on Instagram?
I think I am.
He may be.
B Shhhh. Just look me up.
To look him up. Thank you for coming on. It was always a pleasure, and we will definitely have you back. So
heck yeah, brother.
That's
Thanks
it.
for having
Episode 9 with Brian Shhhh. Thank you, sir.
If you haven't fallen asleep yet, good for you. Cheers, guys.
Wonderful.